Joining me now, I'm delighted, Senator Tom Cotton, who sits on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Now, Senator, everyone thinks that I talk way too much about China, and I have for, 25 years now. But other than the cultural Marxists on the left here in the United States, is there any greater threat to our future than with China in what they're doing today?
No, there's not, Laura. China is the gravest threat to America and our way of life, and the other threats really don't even come close. China is maybe the most powerful adversary we've faced as a nation, in part because for the last 40 years, we've helped grow their economy, which in turn has grown their military. We've never faced a competitor like China. Soviet Russia, Nazi Germany, these were not countries that had economies anywhere near the size of ours that they therefore could support a military like ours. And as you laid out in your opening monologue, I mean, Joe Biden is continually behind the power curve when it comes to China. And the simple fact is, in world politics, either you run the show or the show runs you. And right now, the show is running Joe Biden, and that's bad for America.
Well, Hillary Clinton is out there for some reason reacting to political events, but she's trying to remain relevant, obviously. And she commented on the McCarthy debt deal, Senator Cotton, and she said Republicans seemingly are intent on sabotaging America's global leadership by refusing to pay our debts and also positioning themselves as tougher than thou China hawks. They talk a good game about standing up to Beijing, yet they're handing a major win to the Chinese Communist Party. Senator, Hillary Clinton is telling us that we're handing a win to the Chinese Communist Party after her record?
Yeah, and let's just look at the Democratic Party's record in general. Consider their obsession with green energy. America is the world's #1 producer of fossil fuels. We are an energy superpower. China is the #1 importer of oil and gas. Yet the Democratic Party, in hock to the so-called Green New Deal, would hamstring our key source of energy and reward China because of their unfair trade practices. They are the world's dominant producer of so-called green energy. So progressives may march under the banner of climate change, but Laura, it looks an awful lot like Communist China's red 5-star flag.
And as far as this peace brokering that the Angle predicted last year, that China would be the ones to say this is over in Ukraine, this is what John Kirby, of course, the national security spokesman, said today about the meeting over the phone with Xi and Zelensky.
We welcome the news that there was a phone call between President Xi and President Zelensky. We think that's a good thing. We've been saying for quite some time that we believe it's important for President Xi and PRC officials to avail themselves of the Ukrainian perspective. We obviously want a party to it. That's a good thing.
We weren't party to it, and that's a good thing, Senator Cotton. So the United States takes a backseat to communist China. That's 2 thumbs up for this administration.
You run the show or the show runs you, and it's just another example of Joe Biden letting the show run him. China does not want this war to end. China is Russia's partner. China is benefiting economically by buying a lot of Russia's exports at cut-rate prices. But again, you see this not just in Ukraine, around the world. I mean, we came out of the Trump administration hoping we would have a peace deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia brokered by America. What we got was a restoration of diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and it was brokered by China. So when an American president does not lead, as Joe Biden has not, we shouldn't be surprised when other countries, even partners and allies, begin to hedge their bets against our chief rival, which is Communist China.
4 years from now, if we're finishing up the second Biden administration, what does that mean for America's superpower status? We still a superpower after 4 more years of Biden, yes or no?
I'm worried very gravely that our power will be in even further recession. And I would just point out that at the end of this presidential term that we're about to vote on next year, it would be 2027 included. And that's when many of our military leaders and many other thinkers believe that Xi Jinping will go for the jugular in Taiwan. His most recent 5-year terms ends in 2027. And he does not want to leave this issue unsettled by the end of that term. That's why I think you're absolutely right. Our presidential election should focus intently on the China question and exactly what the United States can do to ensure that we remain the world's dominant superpower.
Senator, great to see you tonight. Thanks so much.